Okay, it looks like the live stream is going through. Now let me see if I can connect to. Oh, and we're connecting to
Okay,
Instagram
we're
now
live
too.
streams.
Viva. All right, and it's going through to
Mariana
Instagram
Sky with
too
Steven
now.
Lefever. I see it. I see it.
Woohoo!
We're
All
up. And
right,
and you're
Biba,
recording it
Biba.
too in the background as well to release later.
Okay, it'll be archived.
Okay.
It'll be archived. It'll be archived.
Do you put that on YouTube?
All right. Okay, it's going right to YouTube, Facebook, and it's on Instagram Live too as well. Biba.
Biba, Biba.
Hey, all right. Hafade todos hamzu guanahudzung. Estigio nuevo na episode Fanachu. Guawi host midzu. I'm your host once again for Fanachu, si Michael Luhan Bavakwa. And you know what we haven't talked about in a little while here on Fanachu? We haven't talked about native birds.
Mm.
We haven't talked about reunification, but we've been meaning to. We've been meaning to. I've been talking to Senor Noel Kidagwa, who Sumasca gives, Pacific Northwest, Gisan Lago, and he's been wanting to do an episode talking about thinking about unifying our consciousness, unifying our people. And you know what? And I've been meaning, our people are being more creative than ever in so many avenues. And then what do I find? What do I find that's going across my social media feeds left and right? Idzigi see Steven Lefever, filmmaker, writer, actor, so called. He is and he is putting out his book Mariana Sky.
Mm.
And so I want to put out he's got it right there. And for those of you who aren't familiar, of course, with the Tottot, the Marianas fruit dove, this is it's a beautiful bird. For the CNMI, it is their official bird. For
Oh
those of
wow.
us in Guam, it is a bird which speaks, it may sort of there may be a little bit of there might be some tragedy,
Mm.
some feeling of loss involved when we think about the Tottot.
Absolutely.
This is a bird that's gone from Guam,
From
still
Guam.
hear it, can still see it in the northern islands. And so Stephen Lefevre here has got a book, Mariana Sky, in which it's poetic, philosophical, magical realism,
Mm.
in which telling the story of the Marianas, the Chamorro people, through the consciousness of a Tottot.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's a wonderful metaphor because when we think about it, the Chamorro people, all the things that we've been through, the brown tree snakes that we've had to put up with across our existence, but the way that we're pushing back. And so I was very excited when Stephen accepted, the invitation to come back on Fanachu to
Mm.
talk about his book. And so, Sidus Masi, Stephen Puri Finatomo, I'm excited to get into this book.
Oh, arigato. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, how day, everyone. Guahusi, Steven Fever, Tata, PD, Guahan, Familian Kadids, and Sumasagaju, Giza Tokyo Pago. Um, yeah, so Michael just gave an excellent introduction on this book that I started at 2012, actually. And we talked about he had I guess, an original copy in 2016 of I released it early, and I totally forgot about that in my consciousness. Said he has a copy, and I'm like, but I wasn't satisfied, so I went back to it because I just I wanted the story to be right, and also, to be honest, it needed more Chamorro history. It wasn't fully researched. I feel like I could have done more. Like you feel satisfied with something, but then you can be more satisfied with how much content you put into it. So at the same time, 2016, that's before I had my first child. And so now I have three boys. So obviously I grew in life. I matured. and also my philosophy in life and my spirituality in life matured as well. So I had to put that in the story because I want this to be my my official my first novel. This is my first novel. So when you put something out, you want it to be impactful. Poetry I've been writing since I was 16, when I was exploring love with, you know, with my with girlfriends and whatnot in high school. So that's when I started writing poetry and I started getting into dancing as well. And it showed me what art is and how you feel instead of think. So that's what poetry does for me. You kind of explore words in a way. And of course, I'm born and raised in Guam. We're all from the Mariana Islands, and we're all proud, which is what I love. So of course, it's indigenous storytelling, and it gave me a chance to research more about the history, and so it's part historical and spiritual reflection, as I mentioned, because in college I took a philosophy course, and so since then it kind of made me feel like maybe I'm a philosopher. Made me at least identify with the idea that I philosophize. I wonder in life. Everyone does. Everyone has their faith. So that is part of the spiritual reflection of this book, and part magical realism, as you mentioned, Miguel, that it's like real, but it's told through our Tottot, you know, um, the bird of our islands, basically. And we don't have this on Guam, so but it's very nice. It's still a blessing that we have it in the archipelago because the archipelago is part of Guam, no matter what. So we can always appreciate it and hopefully maybe do some bird watching in your life if you ever want to. But it's still around. That's the main thing, is that it's not extinct. So we have the Tottot, and yeah, I just started it because I felt like our islands needed a voice that could carry memory, beauty of the islands. So just learning the geography and writing it in. Basically, every chapter, every island is a chapter. So we start at Ulacas in the north. That's chapter 1. And then we go down to Maug, number 2, all the way down to number 15, Guahan. That's the southernmost island. So that's where the story ends. And told by this Tottot, this bird that's sacred to us. And it got pushed out of Guam, obviously, as you know, by the brown tree snake. So, but then we look further in, why did the brown tree snake get there? So we question everything. And of course we know how the brown tree snake got there. So it kind of just explores, it dives into all that. And it's so nice because I was able to research your podcast and Guampedia.com, 500 sales. They gave me a chance to do research and weave things together, like the Laddie Stone, the Guma Uritau, the chiefs, and of course we talk about colonization in a lyrical voice of our main character Tsui, our Tottot. And so in a way I wanted it to feel like you're listening to an elder, or and sometimes even the land speaking itself. We talk politics, environment, spirituality, but it's told through a poetic, dreamlike lens. And to be honest, like, I'm really happy I released it because reading itself, for all of us, it just feels so rare now. Like we're on our phone all the time. Obviously, as you know, the iPhones tell you how many hours you've put in a day. And so this book is kind of an invitation to slow it down and to get back to reading, to get back to using that part of your brain, to sit with the islands and our history in a different way. And yeah, it's available on Amazon. And so just really about keeping our voices alive.
No, I love that. No, Sijus Masi. Thank you for for Paraguahuna, I love that you picked the Tottot. And I'm a little bit because for me I have a let me think. I have to remember now. How many kids do I have now? I have 5 kids now. And And
I'm catching
you
up
reach
to you.
that point now where
Catching up to you.
Hungan, you reach that point where you can't remember their names, but it's just Halgu, Halgu, Maila. And then but for my three younger kids, the ones that me and my partner Desiree have now,
Yeah.
so this book really kind of touched me in a different way compared to sort of your earlier version of it when, I had my two older kids. But one of the
Mm,
things for my younger kids now, Lulai, Makana, and Ladzak, though, for them at this point, what I did for each of them, I've given them my name for each of the kids is a native
mm.
bird name. So there's their
Wow.
name that Ian Desiree gave them, but I call them a native bird name.
Mm,
So Lula, who's my almost 4-year-old, she's Tsaguangguang, which was an endemic bird on Guam, which is extinct now.
yeah. Yeah.
My 2-year-old
Beautiful.
Makana is Nosa, which is from Guam, still found in the CNMI, the
Mm,
brittled white.
hmm.
And then Ladzak, who is only 7 weeks old now, was was is Tottot. My name is Tottot for Ladzak. So that's why like your book came out just a few weeks after Tottot was
Wow.
born. And
Amazing.
so that's why like seeing kind of seeing reconnecting and like connecting with your book now and
Mm,
sort of what it means then to tell the story of our people through the eyes of a native bird.
mm,
Like it's it touched me in a very different way.
mm,
And I think and it was I wanted to hear you speak a little bit more about this because
mm,
I think one of the things that I found is that for Chamorros nowadays, we have I think we're still, especially, still connected to fish in a lot of ways.
mm,
There's a pride in the pescador, right? And then of course
mhm.
you like to eat the palaxi, you like to eat the different types, the manyahat, the different
Right.
types of. But then because especially in Guam, where the birds are gone, there's a
Mm,
disconnect from the birds.
right. Right.
Our grandparents, our great grandparents may have heard, the birds were like the soundtrack of life.
Yeah.
The, you know,
It just,
Nowadays
yeah.
you hear airplanes, you hear military
Yeah.
helicopters,
I think about it.
you know,
I think about it a
and so
lot.
the choice of the bird, I
Mm,
want to hear you talk about sort of the choice of the bird because yeah, birds have always been here. Birds were probably here before we were. And so I
yeah.
want to hear you talk more about that because I think it's an inspired choice to make that connection across the islands. And so speak
Mm.
more about that.
So yeah, it just when in 2012 when I saw a line in Steven Tenorio's book An Ocean in a Cup, it said I had a meeting with the fat man. And I like this line for some reason. I was like, let me start a story that says I have a meeting with the magic man. And so I sometimes I create ideas just from one small pinpointed idea. And so it was that I was like, I laid in bed, and of course I didn't have a smartphone at the time. So I'm laying in bed, I have no distractions. Now I'm just like building the idea in my head. And I'm like, okay, let's make it start from the northernmost part of the Marianas. That's great. Who is this magic man going to be? Okay, let's dive more into that. But who's the person that's going to have a meeting with the magic man? And from there out, yes, 2012. So I was 26 at the time, just graduated from California college. I graduated Southern High School and then I went to college in California. I graduated and I was back on Guam. And yeah, so I had that multicultural aspect and I knew enough about the birds. And I recently discovered the Tottot. At that time, 26 years of my life, this beautiful bird that exists, but not on our island, knowing that it used to exist and it's named the Mariana fruit dove because it is native and is only found here. A beautiful bird like that. How can I not know that it has not existed? Water into my life. And this bird just became Just my favorite bird. I mean, I love, like I love birds. I love flight. I love the fact that they can fly. I love chickens. I've always loved chickens. My father raised chickens. We, like roosters and everything, and my uncle raised roosters and all that. Birds are just incredible to me. And to have an incredible or a number of incredible birds, like all your kids, your bird names for them, they're all beautiful birds. And it's also sad that the bird is extinct. And so that always stings at me, that because of things that was not in our I guess in our frontal sense, that's going to happen. Like, of course, it sucks that the military came and this snake came out and it did this, but because of this happened. It's cause and effect. And it's a very regrettable thing, and it just hurts me a lot to know how our islands once were and a lot of how our islands are now. Um, so it's just something that made me, okay, this bird, the Tottot has to tell this story. It has to be told to this bird, and it's a perfect I guess plot device, or just the main character being able to fly in and pop in, being a genius of its kind, and then creating the backstory of that bird. So Sui is from Bird Island in Saipan. So now why is Sui so far away from Bird Island? Why is the story starting in Ulacus, meeting this magic man? And this magic man is going to basically take him on this philosophical, spiritual odyssey through the islands. And then it'll get back to Saipan, and we'll get more into Sui's background, living on Bird Island and stuff like that. So it was just amazing to be able to have this person, that this character that could just fly in and fly out. And there was so many creative opportunities to create this. And as you were saying, like how it moved you so much to have this Tottot tell the story. That's why I had to recall it in 2016, because it wasn't strong enough. Like imagine you have this bird tell the story, and then it was like, oh, okay, it was decent. I want to try and like make it as strong as possible. I didn't want to miss this opportunity just to tell a mediocre story.
Mm. And so I'm getting a few questions coming in. We've got people watching on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And so Angenguaha
Okay,
question ninzu. If you've got questions, put favor, pega gi comments. Nay. And so of course we have our first question that has come in. And so are there any authors that inspire your work? And so you mentioned magical realism. Are there any particular authors that inspire that, or any authors that you enjoy or that have inspired your writing for this book?
great question. Great question. Yeah, I look at what everyone else, people that in our indigenous realm are doing, like Craig Santos Perez and Lehua Taitano, Victoria Nalani. Um, they're amazing. What has spoken to me was I read a lot, especially around this time, I was reading a lot of Murakami's books, Haruki Murakami. I started with Dance, 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 and then I finally finished Wind Up Bird Chronicle. So the thing about Murakami that I love is that it's the poetic, that poetic feeling that it makes you not want to put the book down. So that's what trying to inspire me. Like I tried to write in a poetic way where it of course the person needs to enjoy it, the reader needs to enjoy it. So that Murakami is one of them. And then I was reading so much Murakami, I had to take a break. So I fin I finished 1Q84, which is like one of his best, which is my favorite. If you're gonna read Murakami,
Oh
read.
man.
Oh
Again, Gov Donklo and that thing's so big, man. That's
my
huge. Yeah.
God, it's so good. It's so good. No, don't be intimidated by big books. See, it's good. I read it on a Kindle because it's just the size of the Kindle and you read it. You don't know how big. You're like, oh yeah, it's okay, 1Q84. But you know, like when you get into the story, yeah, it's like when you're binging on your favorite TV show, right? It's like that's what I ended up doing. So anyways, so I took a break and I researched on other books and I came across Jennifer Egan. Jennifer Egan, and she wrote A Visit from the Goon Squad. And her style, it was like very experimental. And it's like one of those artists, one of those authors that make you feel like, oh, you can do it like this. You know, like you never know, like there's always rules to things, but she made it more experimental for me, like her writing style on how she did it. So that gave me a boost as well this year to try and experiment with my writing and mix it up a bit and, you know, get away from the conventional a bit and just kind of do what I want as well as this came up. Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, he released a book 2 years ago called The Creative Act. Um, I recommend that book so much. That that was like Rick saying like, okay, I'm ready to write a book. And him saying, if you guys know Rick Rubin, he's huge in the music industry, but him going up to publishers and saying, this is the book that I want to write. And he just shows it to them. And then they read it open-minded and they accept to publish it. And that is just basically for anyone that wants to create. And so I would say that's basically for anyone because everyone wants to create. So Rick Rubin's Creative Act, definitely recommend that. And that definitely helps me in my, you know, in making art, making books. So like I'm more of a filmmaker. This is my book. Actually, this inspired me to continue the Mariana universe, but I like to I usually would like to create films and write scripts and stuff like that. So
Oh, Biba. Biba, you're getting some feedback already. People are sending some messages. We've got a fellow Chamorro writer, Miguel Castro, that son of Rick Castro, the artist, who
oh,
sends you
what's up?
some fire emojis as a fellow Chamorro writer.
Half a day, connect
He
with
says
me.
Biba.
Biba.
And then Michelle Chrysostomo says Biba, Southern High School Dolphins, Biba Tuning.
Hey, what's up, Shelly? Hell yeah. That's it. Biba's Dolphins up here, yeah. Oh 04. Santa Rita.
And
Hyundai.
so
Woo woo.
ooh. Okay, so here is this is okay, so here I've got another question, and I wasn't expecting this question, but this is interesting because um has living sa ilek mo na sumasaga hagid sa Tokyo, has
Yeah.
living in Tokyo or in Japan, has it influenced your writing? Did it influence kind of, is there a way that it opened up your philosophy, your writing, your poetry, especially in this book? And I think what the person is getting at in this comment though is that, you know, sometimes when, you know, we're here in when you're here in your home, right? I mean, I'm thinking about, you know, my favorite one of my favorite books, Dune, right?
Mm,
The father tells the son, the Duke tells the son, you know, there's something in us that sleeps, it must awaken, the sleeper must awaken, right? And you have to travel, you have to go out into the world, you have to experience things to see even your home in a different light.
mm,
And so I think what the person is wondering is, has living in Japan, did it change your perception? You mentioned Murakami, for
mm,
example, a famous Japanese writer.
mm.
Um, has kind of has that shifted your, did it change your writing, especially when you came back and because you mentioned that you revisited
Mm.
this book many years later, wanting to add more history into it, wanting to kind of improve upon it. And so has your experience living in Japan, how has it affected you as a writer, in particular in this book?
Um, I would say it has in its own way. It has gotten me away from a lot of distractions. Living out here has made me a stronger hustler, a stronger grinder, having a family, not having a lot of family to help. raise my kids. I have my in-laws and moving more, getting on the trains, hustling, getting to my location, not having a car, not going door to door, and being away from distractions because I'm in, WhatsApp groups where my friends are just going off about what Trump did or what Trump tweeted or this and that. And so just getting out of that noise and just focusing on what I'm getting after. And so in doing so, I end up getting into a lot of projects that tell stories that are not from Guam and are not from the Marianas. So there's always that push and pull, that dialectic of once I've done this, I have anxiety to contribute back to my roots. Once I've done all this, I you need a balance in your life. And so doing that as well, if you live on Guam, you're in Guam and you lose I guess sometimes you lose the historical roots, the day to day kind of gets you entwined into thinking about something else. So now I have more of like a home calling to me as opposed to someone that's already living at home and already, living on the island. So it's nice that I'm close to Japan. Oh, sorry, I'm close to Guam from Japan. Because when I was in California, it was so tough to get home. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how far I was, the body of water, the Pacific Ocean. Over here, it's way closer, and it's just a one way as well. So it keeps me connected enough and to be there if I need to be there, just to be like, boom, I'm back if I need to. And all the opportunities on Tokyo, like I said. So I guess all of that, um, yeah, makes me, yeah, has influenced me and also just made me more of a multicultural person and to know what I care more, like of course there's a culture, there's rights and wrongs everywhere. So I just kind of like see what is right and wrong to me, being living in born and raised on Guam for 20 years, going back as much as I've been, 6 years in California and now 13 years in Japan.
Yeah, no. Citrus moss. No, I love your point. I love your point there about how because there is always kind of this natural migration that like as a Chamorro, as a local, you're supposed to kind of move to the United States. And in some ways it makes sense because everything in Guam preps you to move towards America,
Hmm.
move that way. But when you think about it, once you go that way, it's so hard to come home. It's
Hmm.
like it's like $1,600 every time,
Yeah.
$2,000 every time.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, if you're there's plenty of opportunity around us in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yep.
if we widen our consciousness to think about
Mm.
how we could like if you've got expertise, if you've got skill sets, go man, look, we've got massive,
Anything. Anything.
metropolises all around us.
Yeah.
You don't have to go all the way over there.
No, no, no.
And so I like what you said there because it's, for the cost of getting your family to California once, you
Oof.
could go back and forth a few times
Oof.
from Japan.
Yeah. I would say Korea would be the place because Korea's got the cheapest flights back to Guam. And Korea's popping as well. So
Mm.
if someone has an affinity for Korea, that would be a great future to look into. It's really, it's cheap over there, especially like the prices from Korea to Guam, they're huge. Sometimes I have to fly to Korea just to get the better price to get to Guam instead of direct flight. So hopefully that changes. But yeah, if anyone wants to come to Japan, please connect with me on Instagram at Lesties or Biba Tata Mona, and ask me any questions you have about moving out here because I would love to have you know, my Mariana community build in the Tokyo area.
Yay, Biba, Biba.
Iba.
Now let's look. This is one thing that, of course, you share in your book, and I think that this is just a great reminder because, of course, I'm down here in Guam at the very bottom of the archipelago. Guahan. But the thing is that the Marianas extend up, and
Right.
this is such a big, important reminder
Mm,
that we think of ourselves as being small, but if you take the Marianas as a whole,
mm,
it's pretty long, it's pretty extensive. Just like if
right.
you think of Micronesia as a whole,
Mm,
Micronesia is basically like two-thirds of the United States. It's a blue
mm,
continent,
mm-hmm. Right.
massive.
Right.
And so even this here, looking at all of the Marianas Islands, and so talk to me about this map and then talk to me about, some of these islands because I think, especially for those of us in Guam. Now, for those in the CNMI, they have a little bit more consciousness and awareness
Mm,
of the other islands, the Ghani Islands, the islands north of us. But in your book, you know, you travel to each of them.
mm.
And so talk to us a little bit about some of these islands, because I think that's one of the beautiful things about your book is that we're like I said, we're here. Guahana is the anchor for the archipelago,
Mm.
but man, we barely know anything.
Right.
Most people in Guam barely know anything about the rest of the Marianas, especially anything above Saipan. And so but it's nice to have it all kind of laid out like this. And so talk to me about this lovely archipelago that we come from that you poetically introduced to us in the book.
Wow. Thank you. Where do we start? I mean, I guess we could start at the top. The top is funny because it's not Utak. Well, I guess to some people it's Utak because years ago when I was drafting the Chamorro names, I had a friend that I trusted that gave me these names. And then by the time I created this map with my son Irie. We both I wrote it, he drew it, we drew it together. I already wrote Utak, and so I was like, ah, man. So I had to go back to the chapter one, page one, and kind of explain. I had to not as a disclaimer, maybe we should show that because I mentioned that it's actually Ulakis, how some people here, I have it right here. Um, in chap right here's the so it opens on page 6. And page 7 is chapter 1, Utak Ulakis. Okay, but Utak to some people, obviously, because that's where I got it years ago. So I say most people call it Ulakis, others Utak. Names change depending on who speaks them, but the island remains. Chamorro history was never written by the indigenous. It flowed from tongue to tongue, heart to heart, passed like wind through generations. And sometimes in that wind, you hear the truth. So that's just the opening. I had to put that disclaimer in like right before I I printed it. So Utak, would basically be a volcano in the middle of the ocean. And then when you get, yeah, so it has its nature, its ecosystem going on, but no one can live in Utak. Maybe if you can, but you can't have I guess a community there, like maybe a ragtag community, but okay, but whatever. Maok, definitely no one lived in Maok. No one, there's no Chamorro recorded history of living in Maok. If you look at if you just Google Maok in Google, it's it's a big volcano underwater with 3 tips, and this is the land above water. So everything else is just water. So that is Maok. So it's an amazing ecosystem that you can, like, if you have a boat, you can just be there and just be in bliss. I'm sure the Tatamona visited there for spiritual purposes, but there's no laddie stones, no recorded history of long-term living because it just wasn't resourceful enough. And then we get to Asong Song. Asong Song is also, I believe, like Utak. There may have been some people that lived there, but if you get to Aguihan, so this is the thing. Aguihan, it shoots up. It's not as big, but it shoots all the way up. Aguihan, It's actually okay. This is another where my friend gave me the wrong name. So this is the second wrong name. It's close. It's like it's Agrigen. So okay, I'm sorry. The first one is actually Lacus. Commonly people would say number four is Agrigen. So Agrigen is the tallest point in all of not just the Marianas, but all of Micronesia. It is the highest point in all of Micronesia. And I believe it rises over 3,000 feet. So that would be twice as Lam Lam, no?
Oh yeah. It's no, thank you for and just to your point about the names,
Hmm.
no, there's a lot of there's Chamorro names,
Mm-hmm.
there's Spanish names for some of these islands, and then
Mm.
sometimes the names that we use are names that we are like we're theorizing that this is the probable name for it. Um, or this is likely how it was said, but then over time, because of Spanish and other influences, it was mispronounced in another way, and so yeah, so that's why it's very common to
Mhm.
kind of confuse the names of the islands, and people can call an island one thing and it can be called something completely different and it can have many of these islands have two different names.
Right.
So like FDM, for example,
Yeah.
Farao
Farallon de Medinilla.
de
Yep.
Medinilla or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. That's normal. Yeah, yeah. We're
yeah.
not we're not just that's just like in Australia. Oh, there. Beautiful.
So I wanted to, because you were talking about this one, and so this is Maok right here,
Right.
and so beautiful,
Imagine
like
the depth, imagine below. Imagine the huge volcano below. Incredible.
it, yeah, it is so, and so, yeah, it's so exciting to
Yeah.
kind of
So
just
you
think about
just create, think about a
how, like,
story.
even if even if people, go ahead.
No, I'm saying
Hmm.
like getting
Yeah,
this
even
piece of
if people,
this piece of land. So now this is my chance to have a creative platform to create a story with,
Mhm.
chapter two. This is chapter two right here. So what is the story that I'm going to tell here? And so now I go in and I research what kind of birds are living here, what's going on here, and you always go through the story. This happens, but then this happens. Therefore, this happens. So you just follow that formula, and this is chapter two. And a lot of the chapters, they're small, so it basically reads out like a short story. Like they're little short stories that continue on a big longer platform. But I'm loving this
Mhm.
conversation. Just give me a second. I need to run to the restroom. I'll be
No, no
a
worries, no
few
worries.
seconds. Very sorry.
Tazuga, Tazuga. And so, oh yeah, at the Nesticia, we're gonna have again, hopefully in a few weeks, we're gonna have as a guest on Fanachu somebody who was born in one of the Gani Islands, one of the northern islands. Um, he was a student of mine when I was a professor at the University of Guam, and he was born. I can't remember which island he was born in. He might have been born in Anatahan during the Trust Territory period of the CNMI, the NMI, and so I've invited him to come on for a Finotsumoto episode. But one of the great things about
Hey,
this
dispenser.
type of work by Stephen and others is just that this whole area, right? Think about all of the ways in which we are conditioned to think of ourselves as being a small people, our islands as being small, us not having a lot, right? And so all of these things are colonial ideas that are just reinforced. And so, but if we step out of that for a second, if we take a look at the Marianas as a whole, we see that the Marianas is pretty substantial.
Hmm.
And but we got to get out of the mindset of sort of like the land people. You need to get out of the land, the continent people mindset, in which you only matter if you have a big, huge chunk of land.
Mm.
But think about how this would have been, this would be so important for people back in the day, having all of these different islands, having all of these possibilities for food, for sustenance, all of these different, it would have, you know,
Right.
it's great. And so and it's wonderful to think of the stories that could come out from all of these different
Mm.
landscapes as well.
Mhm.
Now, Stephen, you were talking about volcanoes, you're talking about mountains and
Mm.
stuff like that. And so it's true that, the Marianas has several active volcanoes in it.
Right, right, right. There was something that went off in the 80s, I believe. And there was one of them in 2003 that might have went off. Maybe Saligan, I believe. Um, a bit of an eruption there. So, and even Pagan, the people in Pagan,
Mhm.
they were they evacuated. Pagan is a
Mhm.
beautiful place. Pagan is one of the places that I really want to go to. Like I just
Wahulukui, Wahulukui. Mhm.
yeah. Like I tried, I had a friend, Mike, that was he was living in Guahan. He's from the States, but he was living there. He had a boat. And we kept talking about every time I visit, let's try and make it out, just to see the islands, see Bagan. But his boat ended up stationed in Palau, so we couldn't. But anyways, one day I'll get one day I'll get there to Pagan. Because Pagan is two volcanoes. So it's two
Mhm.
volcanoes, like you're just standing and you can see two volcanoes. But in the 80s it shot up and people had to evacuate. So it's yeah, it's wild that, this is true nature. Anything can
Mhm.
happen.
Now, is there, for all the chapters in your book, is there a particular chapter that you find to be your favorite or that you enjoyed the most in crafting?
That's a great question. That's a
Um,
great
eh,
question. Um, like it's hard to say because there's like small little gems in all the chapters. Guahan is the biggest chapter. I put a lot in Guahan. I put a lot in Saipan. Saipan's a pretty big chapter. But like in terms of like he meets a blue macaw in Alamagan, I believe. Yeah, Alamagan, number 6, like just their little dialogue that they have about their lives and how the blue macaw got there. It talks about how the blue macaw flew away from her lands in South America because of the pet trade, because it's a beautiful rare blue bird. So they have a nice little. I don't want to reveal too much, but like stuff like that. Like I really loved writing about that. Um, there's even a chapter where our main character Tsui goes on a bit of a psychological journey, a psychedelic journey, I would say. There's a chapter there. I really enjoyed writing about that. I don't want to give too much out, but just learning the history and just these little tidbits. Luto was really fun too, because even in some points, I go off on these philosophical, spiritual riffs about how God is such a genius in creating such beauty in the world and how it seems backed by science, but it's so genius. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's more like just these poetic, philosophical riffs that I wanted to add into the story, and that's kind of sprinkled in different parts. So you just try and get a chance to blend all these little things that I enjoyed writing, and I wanted to make it where no chapter is the weakest link. Does that make sense? Like I want the reader to enjoy every single chapter.
No, c'est juste massé.
Mm.
Now, I have a question here from somebody who is interested in possibly publishing trying to publish their own book. Now, the book you self-published it? You published it through Amazon, or
Yeah, I just
is
went
that
through.
how you published it, or
Yeah, that's how I
oh, did you
published it.
did you catch that?
Sorry, yeah, it was going out a
Oh,
bit,
okay.
but I believe I caught that.
Oh, sorry.
Someone wanted to know
And
how
so
to
the
publish their book.
Oh yes, and
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and so their question is, what was your, so the question really is just what was your experience like? Was it easy or was it difficult? Did you find it challenging or was it pretty simple?
It was pretty simple once you know what to do. Just, everything you never get into, it's always you feel standoffish because you're not plugged in. But Amazon it was a very easy, very streamlined way to do it. And it's just it's made to order, so you're not worried about, printing 1,000 books and having to try and sell it. So I just liked its autonomous platform, and I just went through the steps of following. It was I had this piece of art. Hey, boy, I had this piece of art. I Someone created this for me years ago, and then Amazon had the platform to just type in this, and then um, just get some research. Honestly, just message me on Instagram and I can give you some pointers if you want to do it on Amazon. And Amazon is nice because I would say they give you pretty competitive percentage compared to traditional publishers. Um, that would be my professional opinion. Amazon's nice in that way, and the packaging is great, and it's they sell it all over the world. Like you can buy it in the UK and they'll print it the next day in the UK and give you the book. Like anyone can just get it. Like it's amazing how you can get it anywhere. So I'm huge on that. But having said that, I do want to make a special edition, like 100 special edition, because I have a good friend, her sister manages artists, a small independent publisher in Japan. So she might be interested in my book because she read the overview of my book. So we might make a special edition because honestly, some of my friends, they don't have an Amazon account because they don't, I don't know, they find it Amazon unethical. And I totally understand that. So I want to create something more independently labeled. And of course, I'm going to make it special. I'm going to collaborate and make like a special back edition with my uncle, who's an artist, my uncle Chuck. But this is just very, like it has, yeah, this is like Amazon style. It just has a little bit about me and then about the book, the ISBN here and everything. Amazon provides the ISBN. So yeah, very automated. But I do want to make that. So that's another thing ahead of me. I have a lot of projects ahead that I'm excited about.
Yeah. No, so just Masi, that was a question that I actually had for you, is that I wanted to know, now that you've gotten this out of the way, but you're also thinking about doing another version of it though. But are you planning to do another book, another creative project? And I know also too that, you're a filmmaker. I helped you on a short film a while back. And so
Right.
what what creative projects do you have on the horizon?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so it's a couple of things because Mariana Sky, it inspired me to create another story. I always thought, okay, I'm just going to put all my eggs into this basket and I'm never going to write a book again. Well, things have changed in my mind, and now I want to write another book in the universe of Mariana Sky. So we had Tsui tell the story, so it's going to be another species, let's say, that tells a story for the next installment. So I'm working on that, but I'm also pushing for a Japanese version because I live in Japan. So I'm working on a Japanese version. But besides that, like writing this book was because before that, I was writing scripts. I wrote 2 scripts and I had the writing momentum to finally finish. and get this done. So my scripts, one of them I'd like to mention is to be shot on Guam, Luta, Tinian, and Saipan, and it's called Fight On, The Way of the Tatomona Warrior. That is the script that I have, and it's set in the Marianas, and it's about a young fighter who is raised in Tinian, off the grid, very Chamorro Tatamona style, by his uncle, who I will play. But his parents, he finds out as a teenager, he finds out his parents are still alive. So this story is not so much political, a little bit political, but it deals with more of the drug aspect, the meth problem that we have on Guam. So it dives into that because this boy finds out his parents are alive, but he finds out that they are possessed by the devil's drug, which we all know is a problem, meth on Guam. So he has to find a journey to cross the Marianas to find his parents and to save them. And he's a martial artist, so it's a coming of age drama MMA movie that I have a producer for and a pitch deck. And so we're just looking for investors right now. And it's just along the same line, same mission as the book, to tell our stories in our own voice. Whether it's through literature or on screen, it's about showing the world the strength and spirit of the Marianas. I'm very about connecting us as a whole, instead of tribalism, it's more of, like you said, overall our blue continent. And so let's protect ours at first, and let's keep creating these things. So yeah, I have that and a couple others, but that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about.
No,
Yeah.
No, Ace, it just must. No, that sounds good. I mean, Paraguahu, here in Guam recently there was it was just so unfortunate because in the you may have heard a little bit of the news that in the budget discussion it didn't go through, but there was discussion, a proposal that like they should get rid of local art and culture funding for the government of Guam. And it was some senators who were discussing it, proposing it. It wasn't ever released. It was leaked to the public. It was under under the name rifle, that they were going to shoot out all of this extraneous, frivolous, useless funding in the government. And part of the proposal was no more funding for the museum, no more funding for Kaha, no more funding for libraries, no more funding for a whole a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm glad that it was never released to the public. It was leaked to the public, and then people were very frustrated and upset because it didn't happen, thankfully. But I think, one of the things in speaking to you today, and it's just an important reminder that, you know, um, what does our island need? Our
Right.
island still needs storytellers.
Right.
Our island still needs artists,
Mm.
especially now when people are talking about educational problems, or people are talking about tourist problems, or people are talking about all sorts of these issues. And they say we need to do this, we need to do that. We also need to remember that part of the core of these problems is,
Mm.
what are you inspiring people to?
Mm.
What are you inspiring? What is the imagination
Mm.
of the people? Are you just inspiring people to move off island? Are you just inspiring people that they should join the military? Are you just inspiring people that this or that? Or are you inspiring them by showing them what their roots are, showing them that this island is worth something,
Mm.
showing them that they are capable of something,
Mm.
and that they should believe in themselves, and that if they do, then they can tackle some of these problems that they have. And you do that through artists, you do that through educators.
Mm.
That's how do those sorts of
Right.
things.
Right.
And that's why I think, you know, the story that you've shared with Mariana Sky is so important because it connects, it roots us,
Mm,
but it also gives us something. It roots us thousands of years into these islands, but it also gives us something to imagine and
mm,
to be inspired to.
right. That's
And
exactly, yeah.
and so
Sorry.
I
Go ahead.
no, no. And so, I want to say that I appreciate you coming on today, and I appreciate you sharing this, especially for me, because the times that we live in now, we need all the inspiration that we can get, especially for artists, for
Mm,
writers, and so on. And so, I want to give you. We have about 5 minutes left, and so I want to
okay.
give you this time now to share anything that you'd like about, about your writing, about the book, or any final thoughts that you might have as well. Though this time is just for you to reflect and to share. Por favor.
Mm, okay. Well, thank you for having me on. I was very excited to get on with you because we've been friends for 10 plus years now, Miguel. Like long time. You were on my first short film.
Oh yeah,
I see my first short film, so you helped me with all my inspiration in my life. So I gotta say, huge Dunkluna Sidzus Masi to you, my friend, my brother, my Tetlu. Thank you for that. And always, every time I need help, that's one of my next missions is to fino tomorrow better. Every time I have an issue, like also writing this, I have to put in as much tomorrow as I can. So I'm asking you, I'm asking my primos, my dads, everything. And it helps me to have um basically try and create heritage pieces. I want this to be something the future goes back on and be like, oh yeah, this is put this in line with other things to study about the Chamorro people. And so just creating this and talking about inspiration, um, writing about our history. My next Mariana story, I want to go just deeper into it in terms of more so historical aspects, but also creatively. How can we play this out? Let's just enjoy like a lot of us are meant to create. And for me, and I know a lot of people, if you stop creating so much, you have this anxiety feeling. If you're consuming too much, like you consume and create, consume and produce. And so you find the right ratio for you as a person. And so when my ratio is getting where I'm consuming, I'm watching too much TV, I'm this and that, I start getting this anxiety to get back to creating and working on something in whatever capacity it is. So I know a lot of people feel that way. And why not tell the stories where we're from, especially I feel like per capita, people from Guam and the Marianas are the proudest in the world. Um, at least top three or something. Just being proud of, like, hey, you tomorrow, bro. Hey, shit, bro, what's up? Like just that feeling, that connection. People get it, they get it in the Comic-Con, like, oh, you love X-Men, I love X-Men too. But that's for anyone. These are roots. This is deeper. It's like, shit, man, remember when we used to fucking, we used to go to Townhouse, or, like Gibson's, remember Gibson's, that nostalgia, the nostalgia that you were there at that time and you know what was going on and you know the vibe and everything. So to remember that and to be present and to have a chance to help shape the future, just is what inspires me, and I'm inspired to see more people do the same. And that's why I just want to reach for the stars and create a feature film, because the Marianas don't really have a feature film. I mean, we have some, but not at the scale that I wanna bring it. So this story, The Way of the Tatamona Warrior, I feel that's the one. Just if people have belief in it. I'm ready to create it. I wrote that script and then another script. So it's always like I wrote another script that's more of Tokyo where I'm at. So it's always a balance of working on stories where I'm living and working on stories where I'm from. So the ultimate would be to try and connect stories, have stories in Japan plus the island. So, that's one of the things that I'm trying to do. But yeah, like I said, I guess that's everything in a nutcase. And thank you for having me. And connect with me, please, on Instagram at Lesteze, Lesteze, or Biba Tatamona. And for any questions, like one of your commenters asked about how to publish, I would love to give pointers on everything. I'm very much of the mindset that information, should be more free. It shouldn't be locked up. Um, in some cases, I guess, but I like to share. I like to share information, and I just feels good to give back because I've been given so much in my life, and I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful in my life for all the blessings and the friends and family in my life, and the drive to keep going and keep creating and to do it for where we're from is just such a fun blessing and opportunity to be a part of it. So Biba Guahan, Biba Marianas, and Biba Tomorrow.
Biba. Bonito now. Si Diyos masit sa tatlo para ifinato mo para estinay na Fanachu episode. And si Diyos masit para hamsu todos, ni umeega por umeekungok.